And now, the panel is called Sustaining Quality Local Journalism, and our host for the panel today is Jonathan Lawson, moderator host. He's the founding director of Reclaim the Media. He sits on the advisory board for the Consumers Union Hear Us Now project. He's a board member for the Washington News Council, and he's worked in community radio since 1986. And Jonathan will introduce the rest of our panelists. And please welcome Sustaining Quality Journalism.
I like to think that the idea of sustaining quality journalism is not always going to evoke peals of laughter. Although it is an idea that is, unfortunately in question these days. The Seattle Post Intelligencers, the recent demise of their print product is only the latest in a recent run, a wave, a rising evil tide of closures of newspapers and bankruptcies of newspapers. And whatever you think of the contents of our major newspapers around the country, we all also at the same time acknowledge that the service that newspapers provide is absolutely essential for civic engagement, for our ability to understand the world, our place in it, our local and regional and national and international cultures. And it's a source of great concern to us if this industry, which is the fourth estate, it's co-equal to the branches of our government, in the eyes of the founders of our nation. And it's journalism is the only industry that's protected by name in the U.S. Constitution. If you don't count slavery, as someone recently pointed out to me actually, so we won't count that, although we will flag that, for thought. Before we enter into the conversation, I wanted to say a brief word about Reclaim the Media. The organizations represented on the panel here, and the links to our websites are up here on the screen here, being operated by our friend Jessica. Thank you very much. We have been based in Seattle since 2002 as a media advocacy group and a public interest media group, working on media advocacy around issues such as broadband deployment, community accountability for media, the boosting of community media organizations, watchdogging federal issues such as the media consolidation, low power radio, and so forth, and kind of watching out for the public interest, and crucially, building a base of social justice organizations and social justice activists in our regional communities to understand how the media functions and how the playground of media is a place where we can struggle for justice and act upon the media as well as being acted upon by the media. So the causes for the changes that are happening to the media landscape are numerous and are not really our focal concern today. But the effects of it are certainly the backdrop of our conversation today. As we have fewer media institutions that are healthy economically, we have fewer journalists, fewer voices in the media, and much shallower coverage of the issues that affect our communities. We're at a crisis in the media has led us to a historical moment where, first of all, our broad shared access to quality public interest journalism is threatened. And secondly, there are important opportunities for game-changing innovations about how we engage each other and our communities through media and tell the stories of our communities in a creative way. This is only one of a whole bunch of conversations that are taking place on this topic. And I'll ask Jessica to bring up the screen about the other conversation. Some of you have probably seen or been to other conversations around the community, and we've got some of them along with some insights from these other conversations flagged. I invite you to sort of check out while we're talking. Our challenge as media activists, as social justice activists, and as independent media makers is to bring the same concerns with democracy, justice, and communications rights to conversations about changing the media and creating new media as we've brought to our critiques of traditional media and to forming our own movements. So with that, I want to begin introducing our panelists, and I'll introduce them one at a time. We'll have a few short comments, and then we're going to we'll open up the conversation, because I think, as Stephen will remind us in a few minutes, journalism is going to be a conversation to a greater extent than it ever has been. before.